Lunark is a throwback to the days of the 2D cinematic platformer like Another World or the original Prince of Persia, which is regrettably a genre I hadn't played any of until now. The game is gorgeous with a pixel art style, smooth animations and an intriguing narrative, but is it a good entry point for those new to the genre? I love Lunark's approach to narrative. There's no long intro cutscene. Instead, you're plopped into a futuristic city and everything is drip fed to you in an unintrusive way. And from there you can choose to engage in the world as much or as little as you'd like. But I found myself talking to NPCs to get nuggets of the lore and backstory. As a newcomer to the genre, the platforming definitely felt odd at the start. Every movement feels methodical, one push of the analog stick will initiate a single walk animation and you can't do anything else until it's done. So you can't simply run and jump on the platforms. Instead, you must walk underneath a ledge, hold up and slowly clamber up. As a result, I was dying. A lot. Especially since the game has realistic fall damage. And I fell to my death way more than I was willing to admit. And that's because I was playing it like a normal 2D platformer, which you really can't do. Once I learned to take my time, I ended up enjoying myself, and it's thanks to the simple moveset. Leo can walk, run, roll, climb and jump, and because so much thought has to go into every action, I'm actually glad that it's pretty basic, as even a single frame can mean a difference between life or death. Outside of platforming, there's some combat and a few puzzles too. The puzzles felt like a perfect difficulty, making me feel like I was accomplishing something without it being too hard. Whereas the combat is pretty basic. You have a pistol that recharges, and when enemies move in close, the attack becomes a punch. Combat really isn't the focus, and I actually found in most cases, it's best to avoid enemies because they'll kill you very quickly. Thankfully, there's a small upgrade system where you can find machines that upgrade your pistol, and then if you find 3 orange shells, you exchange them for an extra heart. And let me tell you, the extra hearts are much needed in the end. Because again, this game is tough. And it's due to the stiff but deliberate control scheme, which can become frustrating at times. There's a scrolling camera section, and while it is doable, everything has to be so pixel perfect that it can be aggravating. And it's an emotion that's only compounded by the annoying checkpoint system, as it would place me multiple rooms back when I die, but all the puzzles and doors will be completed, so slowly platforming my way back to where Leo lost his life was frustrating. I died multiple times on different sections, and the game is clearly set up to let the player experiment with how to best engage in platforming and combat. But when the experimentation spawns you 4 rooms back, and you have to slowly walk back to a difficult part, it gets annoying. Nothing in the game was so difficult that I was tearing my hair out, but I would have preferred if the game spawned you at the start of the room you entered. Furthermore, while the first couple of boss fights felt fair, the final boss fight felt like a massive ramp up in difficulty, with it being a multi-tiered fight, and if you die, you had to do it all from the start again. I would hazard guess that this is pretty similar to other games of the genre. There was practically zero margin for error in the fight, and I would have liked if the game built up to it with more bosses beforehand. But the beautiful animations did at least help make the challenge more bearable, and of course, once I beat him, I was ecstatic. On the whole, I appreciate Lunark for its brilliant art style, slick animations, and the way it fed me the backstory and lore of the world. But it didn't quite convince me that the more methodical gameplay of a cinematic platformer is quite for me, as I generally prefer a snappier feel with a less punishing checkpoint system, or at least in the absence of that, a faster way to get back to the action. Even still, it's a high quality experience that I had some fun with, and that's why I like Lunark. Thanks for watching a review for Lunark. Check out that video on the left. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.